the declaration made on social media by one of its senior members, Honorable NHIAL DENG NHIAL, on 15 October 2025. Honorable NHIAL DENG has been a distinguished and a senior member of the SPLM since its inception, having held numerous key positions within the movement, the government of South Sudan, and the government of the Republic of South Sudan. Within the party, Honorable NHIAL served as a member of the Political Bureau and the National Liberation Council. In the current government, he serves as a member of the revitalized Transitional National Assembly, representing the SPLM. Honorable NHIAL was one of the leading negotiators for the SPLM during the Naivasha peace talks that culminated in the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, CPA, signed on 9 January 2005. This landmark agreement secured the right to self-determination for South Sudan, leading to the 2011 referendum and eventual independence. Between 2005 and 2008, in the government of South Sudan, he served as Minister of Regional Cooperation, the equivalent of Foreign Affairs. From 2008 to 2011, following the tragic death of Honorable Dominic Deng in a plane crash, Honorable NHIAL was appointed Minister of SCLA and Veteran Affairs, replica of the current Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs. Post-independence, Honorable NHIAL held several significant portfolios, including Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Presidential Affairs, Presidential Envoy, and Chief Negotiator on behalf of the government for the implementation of the revitalized Agreement on the Resolution of Conflict in South Sudan, RRCAS, and the Rome Peace Process. It is therefore surprising and deeply disappointing that his defection and the subsequent formation of South Sudan Salvation Movement, SSSM, are premised on allegations of government failure to protect lives and property, lack of a comprehensive disarmament strategy, rampant corruption, and economic erosion. Fellow comrades, ladies and gentlemen, it is disheartening that Honorable NHIAL seeks public sympathy by blaming the government for recurring inter- and intra-tribal conflicts, citing lack of disarmament, logistical support to the army as the root causes. We remind the public that from May 2008 to July 2011, Honorable NHIAL himself was a minister in charge of the defense docket, the SPLM and Veteran Affairs. By then, his tenure coincided with widespread communal violence, which claimed many lives, including conflicts in Jonglei State, Nuer Dinka conflict, Dinka Morley conflict, Morley Nuer conflict, and clashes in 2009. Warab State conflicts include Gorial East and Greater Tonj in 2010. Also, Lakes State with multiple community clashes in 2010. When South Sudan was engulfed in violence during his watch, what comprehensive security strategy did Honorable NHIAL propose or implement? Instead, he was frequently absent from the country, reportedly traveling to London to attend Arsenal football matches, leaving the president to personally intervene in the conflicts. Hotspots. Our question is about whether Honorable NHIAL has ever visited these affected communities or engaged in meaningful with them. In his tenure, the economy was good. The soldiers used to get their salaries on time, and the defense budget accounted for 40% of the national budget by then. Further, it is surprising that as a sitting member of the revitalized Transitional National Assembly, whose mandate includes legislation and government oversight, Honorable NHIAL chooses to point fingers at a tiny political elite surrounding the president, accusing them of diverting oil revenues through inflated infrastructure contracts. If Honorable NHIAL possesses substantive evidence, he should have introduced a private member's bill to summon relevant ministers, finance and planning, petroleum, justice and constitutional affairs, and roads and bridges to investigate and address these allegations transparently. Honorable NHIAL also asserts that both the SPLM and SPLMIO are deliberately delaying implementation of RSS to avoid free and fair elections due to fear of losing. We categorically reject this claim. Neither the SPLM chairman nor the leadership fears electoral competition. The SPLM has prepared thoroughly for the 2024 elections, as witnessed by regional endorsements and the SPLM Renaissance Mission. The parties to RSS agreed on a roadmap extending elections to December 2026, and this reflects a consensus on timelines. The SPLM, in its consultations with the leadership, is prepared for elections in 2026. In addition, the SPLM also directed its members in the Transitional National Assembly to expedite the recommendations of the Election Commission so that the elections are held on planned time in South Sudan. Fellow comrades, ladies and gentlemen, NHIAL Deng decision to temporarily freeze his SPLM membership until the party is fit for purpose is shameful, especially considering that he has already declared the formation of his own party, the South Sudan Salvation Movement, SSSM. His claim that the SSSM is merely a temporary vehicle to reclaim control of the SPLM from those who have hijacked and held it captive for so long is both discriminatory and demeaning. If there are any political party composed solely of its founding members, NHIAL Deng NHIAL was always part of the government until October 15, 2025, when he publicly defected from the SPLM. The SPLM does not discriminate against members for not being founding members. This is why there is a strong effort to mobilize and recruit members to the SPLM. Every SPLM member has the right to be elected or appointed to any government position. What is most perplexing is when a movement intended as an internal reform engine within a party becomes aligned with opposition parties. Membership in a political party is terminated when a member publicly defects or opposes its policies and objectives or forms a different political party. Therefore, from the moment of his declaration, NHIAL Deng NHIAL ceased to be a member of both the SPLM and the revitalized Transitional National Assembly. This is what the SPLM Constitution says. Regarding claims of broken party hierarchy and the inclusion of new members who did not participate in the liberation struggle, the SPLM Renaissance Mission and the subsequent ordinary sitting of the National Liberation Council were precisely aimed at reforming the party. The political bureau endorsed expansion of its membership, enacted a code of conduct and disciplinary procedures, and financial management rules and regulations in December 2022. The National Liberation Council unanimously empowered the SPLM chairman to restructure the party, leading to the appointment of additional deputy chairpersons and deputy secretary generals. Honorable NHIAL was part of these reforms, and it is therefore unfortunate that he now alleges illegal removal of SLM leaders. On economic transformation, the SPLM envisions agriculture as the backbone of South Sudan's economy. In 2016, under the current leadership of the SPLM chairman and president, an agricultural project was launched to make South Sudan a regional food basket, moving away from oil dependency This included procurement and distribution of 500 tractors to the then 28 states as a pilot to boost agricultural productivity. The failure to effectively implement this project at the state level is not attributable to the SPLM chairman, but to the beneficiaries' inability to manage the initiative. Fellow comrades, ladies and gentlemen, Honorable NHIAL claimed that the SPLM lost its vision after Dr. John Garang's death, and that SPLM chairman, Comrade Salva Kiir, abandoned the party's original mission. This assertion is unfortunately incorrect. Following Dr. Garang's sad passing in July 2005, Comrade Salva Kiir steadfastly carried forward the vision and mission of the liberation struggle. The Comprehensive Peace Agreement faced a serious threat of collapse, largely due to provocations by the National Congress Party. They sponsored numerous militia groups with the aim of destabilizing South Sudan. However, through the wise leadership of Chairman Salva Kiir, these militias were integrated into the SPLA, effectively neutralizing the enemy's tactics. This strategic move paved the way for the successful referendum that ultimately led to the birth of the Republic of South Sudan. Despite this betrayal by many founding members of the SPLM during the 6 years of implementing the Comprehensive Peace Agreement, each seeking to usurp power, Salva Kiir's unwavering commitment to the vision was instrumental in achieving South Sudan's independence, despite ongoing provocations. It is important to highlight that Honorable NHIAL appears unaware of South Sudan's current political landscape when he calls for additional political space. What he may not realize is that the SPLM supports a multi-party democracy, evidenced by the existence of 29 registered political parties and 25 unregistered political parties in the country, some of which have minimal or no membership and influence at all. After winning the 2010 elections decisively, SPLM shared government positions with smaller parties, granting them executive roles despite their electoral losses. Honorable NHIAL also urges the acceleration of a permanent constitution developed through broad-based participation by South Sudanese citizens. What he may not know is that the National Constitutional Amendment Commission is actively traveling across the country, engaging with communities to gather input on the desired content of the Constitution, including what should be added or removed. This process clearly demonstrates a genuine commitment to drafting an inclusive and representative Constitution of South Sudan. Finally, it is regrettable that Honorable NHIAL invokes the plight of veterans, claiming neglect by the government to garner support for his movement. When he and his colleagues had power, they never advocated for vacating their positions to allow veterans a chance to serve as ministers or in leadership roles. As Minister of Defense and Veteran Affairs, what concrete strategies did Honorable NHIAL design and implement to improve veterans' welfare? His current mobilization of veterans on grounds of neglect is disingenuous. In conclusion, the SPLM leadership reforms initiated by the President aims at empowering young leaders and youth as stakeholders in South Sudan's future. Many of these young leaders, once part of the Red Army, Gauge Armor, or logistical supporters during the liberation struggle, have matured into seasoned leaders. The 2022 SPLM Renaissance and Leadership Reform were designed to ensure that the leaders of tomorrow have their rightful place today. Dear comrades, ladies and gentlemen, the SPLM remains committed to unity, peace, and development in South Sudan. We urge all the members, veterans, and citizens to reject divisions and work together for the country's progress. Moreover, we advise Honorable NHIAL to organize his new party along democratic lines and to distance himself from any tendency to cause violence among South Sudanese. We don't want South Sudanese to die again. Thank you so much.